You know that feeling when your company has these brilliant, game-changing ideas, but they just seem to fizzle out somewhere between the big strategy meeting and, well, actually getting done? Today, we're diving deep into why that happens and how the old-school project management office is getting a massive upgrade from a bureaucratic cost center into a strategic powerhouse that drives real value. So here's the game plan. First, we'll unpack what's known as the strategy execution gap. Then we'll walk through the 3 key stages of the EPMO's evolution. We'll talk about moving from control to true collaboration, how to take the politics out of your portfolio decisions, and what it takes to lead this kind of change. And finally, we'll look at the future, something called the Strategy Realization Office. All right, to really get why this is all so important, we need to start with just one number, 67%. So, what do you think that represents?
Yeah, that's the percentage of perfectly good, well-thought-out strategies that completely fail. And here's the kicker. They don't fail because they were bad ideas. They fail because the company just couldn't execute them properly. This right here, this is the core problem the modern portfolio office is designed to fix.
So let's talk about this strategy execution gap. You can think of it as this giant chasm inside a company where great plans, precious resources, and all that potential competitive advantage just fall in and disappear.
And Gartner really hits the nail on the head here. This isn't just about being a little inefficient or missing a few deadlines. In the kind of crazy, fast-moving world we live in now, failing to execute is a genuine threat to a company's survival. It's that serious.
So what's widening this chasm? Well, one of the biggest culprits, and we've all seen this, is plain old office politics. When big decisions are made based on protecting your own turf, or who can shout the loudest, or who has the biggest budget, well, rational, objective strategy gets kicked to the curb. It stops being about what's best for the business and becomes a battle of egos.
Okay, so if politics and outdated processes are the problem, what's the solution? Well, it's not a quick fix. It's about intentionally evolving your enterprise portfolio management office, the EPMO, through a really clear roadmap. Gartner lays out this super clear 3-stage journey. And this isn't just a random walk in the park. It is a deliberate transformation that takes the portfolio office from being a simple tactical controller to a truly dynamic strategic partner for the entire company.
Now, most PMOs start right here in stage 1, the directive EPMO. This is all about getting control, setting standards, and establishing some basic ground rules. It's necessary, for sure, but it's also why this version of the PMO often gets a bad rap for being, a bureaucratic roadblock instead of a helpful partner.
Stage 2, the adaptive EPMO, is a huge leap forward. The whole mindset shifts from rigid control to enterprise-wide agility. And this is the game changer. The focus is no longer just on outputs, were we on time and on budget? Instead, it's all about outcomes. Did we actually deliver real business value? And finally, you get to stage 3, the dynamic EPMO. This is the promised land. Now the portfolio office is a true strategic partner, using things like AI for predictive insights. It's not just reacting to the business anymore. It's anticipating what's next and helping the whole organization pivot to get ahead of the curve.
But look, this evolution we're talking about, it's not just about redrawing an org chart or updating a process document. It requires a deep, fundamental shift in the core mindset of everyone involved in the portfolio office.
At the heart of this whole thing is the idea of enterprise agile. And let's be clear, this is not about forcing the marketing team to use sprints and backlogs. It's about taking the principles of agile, that focus on the customer, on collaboration, on always getting better, and weaving them into the DNA of how the entire business operates. And this really shows you the difference. The old-school PMO acts like a gatekeeper. It's focused on control and compliance. The modern, agile PMO is more like an orchestrator. It's focused on enabling teams to succeed and measures its own success by the actual business impact it helps create. It's a totally different ballgame.
So let's circle back. How do we actually solve that big politics problem we talked about? Well, the key is to replace all those subjective opinions and turf wars with a clear, objective, data-driven framework that everyone can understand and agree on.
And this is where the discipline of strategic portfolio management, or SPM, comes in. You can think of it as a system to make absolutely sure that every single dollar and every single person hour
is being spent on the things that are most critical to making the company's strategy a reality.
And a really powerful tool for doing this is a simple decision framework, kind of like this one. When you can categorize every potential project into one of these buckets, each with its own clear investment rule, you create a common language. Suddenly, decisions aren't about personal feelings anymore. They're about objectively lining up investments with what you're actually trying to achieve.
But here's the thing. A framework is just a tool. It's not going to magically implement itself. This kind of big transformation needs real leadership, a new playbook for leaders who are focused on actively driving change, not just managing it. See, the modern PMO leader's job isn't really about managing Gantt charts anymore. It's about building bridges. They need to become trusted advisors to the C-suite, create a real culture of agility by empowering their teams, and, this is so important, they have to invest in their people, making sure they have the business smarts and flexibility to thrive in this new world.
Okay, so after this whole journey, this entire evolution, what's the end game? Where are we trying to get to? Well, we arrive at the ultimate destination, the future of what strategic execution can be. And that future is called the Strategy Realization Office, or SRO. And pay attention to the wording here. It's not called a department. It's described as an advanced set of enterprise capabilities. That's because it's not a static box on an org chart. It's a dynamic, living function that brings together everything you need to turn big ambitions into reality. At the end of the day, the whole purpose of the SRO is to create a culture where ambitious goals actually get achieved. It's the orchestrator that makes sure all the pieces, the plans, the money, the people, are all working together so that a company's biggest, most important ideas don't just stay as slides in a presentation. And that really brings us to the final question you should be asking about your own organization. Is your portfolio office right now a historical artifact, a relic of a past way of working, stuck on control and compliance, or is it evolving into a true strategic asset, ready to help guide your business into the future? Because the gap between those two is where competitive advantage is going to be won or lost.